You have it?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What happened to Jeff's plaque? It didn't get moved over there, but it got moved.
I borrowed it because I'm going to get another frame.
I see.
Match the frames.
I see. Okay, I get you.
We have Jack's picture now, so
Okay.
we can get a frame for it.
Okay. First thing I want to preference the meeting with is, I believe next week we meet on Wednesday and the 5th of July. So for viewers, we want to make sure that it's out there. The next two meetings will be on Wednesday, same times, but one day later. Okay, did everybody have a chance to read the minutes?
I only had one correction, and I notified Michelle. Linda wrote down that Jack made the motion and Jack seconded. I think by rules, Robert's rules, you can't make the motion and second it. So that was just a miscue. But other than that, I've seen no other correction.
Okay. I didn't see any corrections.
I do accept the minutes as corrected.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye.
I can't
All
find your
opposed?
budget.
Pass 3-0. Commissioner comments and committee reports. Jack, do you have anything?
Well, as you may have read in the Globe, there is Cedar Atchison is going to try to restore the Royal Theater, and the Chamber of Commerce did something a resolution to support selling of tax credits. I think $250,000 worth of tax credits that citizens of this county can buy, and it'll help lower their taxes if they're at a higher tax rate. So, especially with the change in Kansas tax law, people are going to be paying their taxes. They expect it to. I assume you had to contact Theater Atchison to see how you could, buy those tax credits. Also, I attended a meeting called E-Community, which is a loan. It helps with loans for entrepreneurs with ideas and business plans. They give low-cost loans, long period of time to pay it back.
Last paper.
It's a really cool deal. And the thing is, I reminded everybody that the city of Atchison is the one who's administrating it, but it's available to anybody within Atchison County. So someone out the county outside the city has ideas, they're eligible for it, and they can really just talk to their local bankers, either Exchange or Bank of Atchison, because it requires a bank, community loan, bank loan. But it's a great opportunity for someone with some ideas. It's a little challenge with finances that put down the down payment to make it easier for the bank to make the loan. So I know there's been 3 people, I think, in Atchison who've actually qualified for it. Plus, you can also buy the tax credits through that program. So you could save quite a bit on your taxes by buying the tax credits. So if you're interested, I would contact the city of Atchison as far as tax credits go. So 2 opportunities for tax credits.
Okay. Do you have anything, Bill?
I got a JCAP for the 20th of July. Project concerned. I haven't heard any more news about down there.
Aren't they interviewing today for the position?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Yeah, it was supposed to be a lot sooner than what it was. A little bit on what Jack said. With Theater Atchison, I had a text from former commissioner where they might be or they would be interested in our health department. Maybe we need to discuss that at a later date. Whether we're willing to sell it, what's it worth, where we would go before they come up, because of Mr. Crossman or something like that was going to come up and talk to us. So maybe we need to do a little research before they come up. Or maybe not.
I think that's where we have to have a decide where we want to put all those facilities too. So,
Okay, I didn't have any meetings this week.
Yeah, the ambulance last week.
Oh, yes, I did. Ambulance committee Friday afternoon. We postponed it twice, so it was just kind of like, seemed like we had it longer ago than that. And again, I hate to try to go over things that we will probably go over most of it because we did the budget. We didn't have a quorum, so we couldn't make any decisions. But I did get a more in-depth understanding of the budget. Like I say, our head guru's here, so we'll go through the budget here, and we'll be hitting most of what I learned there.
Okay. Do you want to go over that first, or you want the?
However you want to present.
Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, that's fine.
We can start on the budget side. For Mr. Phillips' request, I went ahead and did a 8-year projected replacement instead of 3-5-year because we wanted to be on an 8-year plan on the ambulances. So that gives you an idea where my capital outlay requests are coming from. Some of the information that I thought the commission had prior to my original budget hearing, we've got now. These were provided by Wes. This was the proposed amended budget for 2017 after that was put into CIC and the budget was published. So that was what I was referring to during the budget hearing. So now we actually have that information. And then the capital outlay expenditures through the tenure of the private company compared directly to my capital outlay request. And I presented these all to Mr. Knoll during the ambulance advisory board meeting, and maybe we've got a clearer picture. So we're still looking at an overall cost savings when you factor in the capital outlay that was expended over that year. And something member Thompson, the advisory board member, also made a point, and that I didn't make during the budget hearing, is that those subsidy requests from the private company were also going to increase through the years too. And to remember that, so he made a good point in that regard.
Which was a substantial increase in their home county, too.
That is my understanding.
My understanding was what they got and what they requested were two different things, but it was still a $50,000 a year increase that they did receive.
No matter, whether we do this in-house, whether it's subsidized. So maybe this is a clearer picture of where I was coming from as opposed to what was actually presented that morning. Projected revenue, projected revenue for this year is $596,000, so we are above the projections prior to my hiring.
The 2019 replace one remount ambulance, that is a new ambulance, correct? That is a total?
That would be a brand new one for 2019 because it would be replacing one that's already been remounted once.
I seen the bills where we wrote a check for 81, so we got that one back, that remount.
Yes.
We just-
It'll be here today, or tomorrow or Thursday.
Yeah, I seen it in the bills,
Yep.
so I figured it should be either we
Yep.
got it or it's close.
It's on the way. Yeah. Now that would replace the 2013 chassis with the 2004 box on it that's been remounted once. That's the projection there.
Okay, 19 and 21 are both those two that have been already remounted. Okay.
I think you're asking for trouble if you remount them twice. They're going
We've
to start
been-
having structural problems.
We've been told you can do it once, fine, second time not.
Well, it also seemed
Is
like
the new ambulance went from 185 to 240?
I'm projecting that. I hope it's less than that, but yeah, with the inflation.
Because that
rates,
last one we got was a Cadillac and it was 185 or
but
195.
it's also a gasoline chassis. They've discontinued those chassis, and we're going to probably be looking at a more expensive diesel chassis
Bigger
going
truck.
forward. So that's why the increase. I am going to attempt to get the USDA grant. It depends on our population and our poverty level. But
So you're hoping for 25 to 50?
25 to 50% of the cost.
Well, that'd help.
I'm hoping. You know how grants go.
Former Commissioner Shealy always asked, did we look for grants for that?
And that particular grant program came directly from him. He sent me down that path. FEMA does similar grants through the AFG Assistance to Firefighters program, but they put priority on fire equipment, obviously, and it's much harder to get an ambulance through that program. So I'm going to explore this USDA program and see how much we can get through there and what we're eligible for. There's also some other grant programs out there specific to the state called the craft grant for equipment. We've got to see if we even qualify for those.
I noticed your want list is all pretty much mobile equipment. Do we need anything at the station?
Not at the moment. I think there's a few repairs at the west station will need to be done. I think they'll fall within.
Capital improvements or?
I think those actually fall within budget. We're talking about a walk-in entry door, recoating the roof, really minor stuff. Station 1's in really good shape. I think we're really good there. There's some shelving and storage options I want to get out there. We're storing too much on the floor, and in the winter when you come in, snow melts off. So I want to get some stuff like that, but we're talking hundreds of dollars, not capital outlay money.
I don't recall, I'm sure they have secured cabinet for medicine, but I don't recall seeing one out there.
Yeah, our medications are stored in existing cabinetry that was already out there, and then our narcotics have to be double locked. They're in a safe and in a locked cabinet. So yeah, that all already exists out there. We're in good shape there.
I think the biggest problem is the congestion of it.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem we have.
Of the what?
It's so congested out there. You know,
Yes.
you got
Yeah,
noxious weed.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have a problem if we have to go to a new style ambulance. If it's any bigger than what the current ambulances are, it won't hardly fit.
My thinking is get a new road and bridge and maybe get a new noxious weed building and take that.
But which will happen first? I mean,
It had been suggested,
It's gonna be a wall.
and I don't know what kind of time frame or anything along those, but the noxious weed building would eventually be able to house another ambulance.
That's what,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And that,
maybe
I
put a
was-
walkway between the
breezeway,
breezeway
yeah,
or
something.
something over there, and then actually house it there.
during the process of getting the bids for the current remount that will be here in the next couple of days, a couple companies did bring out demo ambulances that were larger. We backed them into that building. It did not fit. Now, that's not to say we couldn't find one that would fit, but yeah.
It's
The current-
difficult
the
when
current arrangement would not fit a larger ambulance.
Again,
Well,
when we get to the point where we've got a specific ambulance has to go to a specific place, it's hard to choreograph every ambulance to be in the right place at the right time. So if you've got one on call and the other ambulance goes to that station, it can't back in.
Well, and then the other thing, yeah, that's the thing. If we do some move ups, anything like that, then I can't put them on a regular rotation to keep the mileage even, so we're not running one ambulance too much.
Right.
When I went to the open house and one employee said, boy, I wish we'd have had a little involvement because to get something out the back, you either got to leave the front outside or you got to leave the door. He said it should have been another 20-foot
Oh yeah.
longer.
really
He
should've
said it
been.
would have made it so much nicer.
Yeah, because right now when they're doing the truck check-ins, they can't get the back doors open if it's inclement weather. They got to pull it out in the rain, the ice, and the snow, and to be able to clean it and do all that. It is not the most convenient situation, but we're getting by. They're doing a good job. So.
Any questions?
Hopefully that's a clearer picture on the budget request. And yeah, I really wish the revenue was in that. All I can do is until it's put into CIC because that's FEMA's responsibility. And again, it's still an estimate, especially this year.
Collection rates any better, any worse?
Yep.
Better?
We're getting better.
Good.
Blue Cross Blue Shield problem solved. We talked about that during advisory board commission. Unfortunately, they're making us go back and do all paper for all the ones that were rejected. It was their fault, but we're in a box. If we want the money, we got to play ball their way.
Resubmit.
Yeah, we have to resubmit. They did not backdate our date of service after the initial rejection. So everything that went in new has come out just fine. We've collected no problem. Everything that they messed up on that backdating on got rejected again, and now they want it back in paper. So,
It's one of those, they make you jump through some more loops thinking that you'll quit jumping at some
yeah,
point
we're
in
not gonna
time.
quit jumping.
Persistent.
Yep,
So, but yeah, collection rates have actually come up a little bit. So
good.
I'm happy with that.
And it wasn't that they were bad, but
No, They weren't. They were on target.
Yeah.
They were on goal.
While we're here, and I know we talked about it a lot, and one of the concerns that you'd brought up last week and was the replacement of the park car. And I hate that term.
I don't like that term. I prefer supervisor's vehicle, but yes, it is an advanced response vehicle.
So I think we need to hash that out and let the other commissioners know what you're thinking on that.
Well, and exactly what I told you is because we're doing that third truck plan with an on-call person, that supervisor needs to be flexible in their responses. They need to be able to respond when all the ambulances are out. They need to be able to respond in those gaps when we have that on-call person coming in. Those gaps are rare, but they need to be able to do that. And then the supervisor has other duties day in and day out that are not emergent. So we talked about it. It makes a lot more sense in my head to have a $30,000 SUV that we're utilizing in that role than to put the captain on a $230,000 in the future ambulance, right now $180,000 ambulance, and beat that piece of equipment out, put extra mileage on it for those duties. We can replace that SUV a lot of times for what it costs to replace an ambulance. So we're putting the wear and tear on a much cheaper vehicle, one that gets better fuel mileage. And then the additional thing is having that all-wheel drive, all-weather capability. It gives that supervisor the ability to access scenes that I don't want that ambulance going in. Pastures, mud roads, in the snow in this town on the hills. That Durango has been great. We've been able to get to scenes safely, bring a patient out to a much safer loading area. So I just think it makes more sense to beat up, a cheaper piece of equipment.
I think it's essential, after listening at the ambulance meeting there, it makes a lot more sense when you put it in the context of it's part of the expense of keeping the model we are currently running under, which is the
Correct.
cheapest model of running and getting the, not staffing the third ambulance completely or but running the way we are now. And another thing was that the current, Durango?
Yeah,
Is that
that's
the-
a Durango, Dodge Durango.
has multiple problems. So if it was running fine, we wouldn't be talking about
No.
changing it out now.
No, I would really rather go another year before we consider replacement, but it's hit a point where the transmission's slipping, it's got all kinds of problems, it's beat up.
I asked Corey a question before we had open meeting is, can we get a park car that can transport? And you said you can't because...
We cannot utilize that vehicle for everyday transport. Anytime we transport somebody out of a licensed ambulance, we have 72, we'll transport them to definitive care. I can bring them out to an ambulance, like if they're in a pasture, they're down a mud road, they're on an icy road. We can bring them out to the ambulance without reporting to the state. Anytime that vehicle would be used in, say, a mass casualty situation to transport somebody to a hospital, I have to report that to the state. We cannot consistently do that with an unlicensed vehicle. And as you suggested too, which is not a terrible idea, but we also can't do because of state regulations, we can't have a half ambulance. We can't have one that's staffed with half the equipment. We have a protocol we have to meet, and each ambulance that is licensed has to meet that protocol and have the equipment necessary to do that job. Otherwise, we'd have to kind of mothball it and put it in reserve and have it be not licensed until the moment we need it. And then that makes us not very operationally flexible.
One thing, I don't want to throw more stuff for you to do, but is there any way can you keep track of how many times we do transfers? Would it make sense to buy a vehicle strictly for transfer and then that would free up that other ambulance?
It could be done. What ends up happening though is if we have that purely transfer vehicle, say the crew's on another call, they clear that call, they're out in the west half of the county, they're the closest unit to transfer, they're gonna have to go to a station, switch vehicles, and then go run that transfer, and it's gonna delay those transfers on that type of thing. That would be my concern if we bought a specific transfer vehicle. It wouldn't be impossible to do, but it would delay transfers and cause problems with crews that always have to be switching.
Again, you would single out a specific vehicle for only certain duties, and then it couldn't be put into the rotation.
Yeah, but I bet you'd be shocked if he did a transfer, how many transfers we do.
I can tell you exactly how many transfers we do. That's in the monthly report.
It's right here in the
We
monthly
did
report.
47 last month.
Yeah, that's a lot of transfer.
We
That's a
do a lot
lot,
of
that's a lot of money. And we get paid for those, don't we?
Yeah, the transfers are a higher collection rate than the 911s.
Are you talking about having the fourth ambulance be a transfer that would only stay at the Eastern Station? And
My thinking was if we had a transfer vehicle, that would free up one ambulance. So that'd be like adding an ambulance to our fleet, because when we transfer it, there goes one of our ambulances out.
It would still have to be a licensed ambulance, though. We couldn't.
fully equipped.
Yeah, but it'd
It
be
would have to be
substantially cheaper than 240,000, wouldn't it?
Potentially, we could buy something a lot cheaper, but it would still have to be equipped to the exact same level.
Right. But then it wouldn't be an ambulance, so it
Well-
makes sense on one way, and then
Yeah.
another way it doesn't.
Well, and then last
Yeah,
night's
I
a good
knew.
example
There's quite a few.
of a situation where 2 ambulances were out on transfers. I came in and covered, and we staffed another 2 ambulances so we could send those transfers out. Well, then we're sending an ambulance out anyway that wouldn't be that specific transfer vehicle. So somebody would have had to switch or go get a vehicle, and again, we'd be delaying our services. Right at the moment, when a transfer comes out, the closest available unit goes in Russell. We treat it essentially the same as a 911. The only difference is if there's multiple transfers, sometimes we have to stack them up and wait till another ambulance gets back in the county, because we do not dump the county out. We make sure there's still an ambulance here in the county when we send those transfers. Hence why I came in last night at 1 in the morning to make sure, in that instance where the hospital really wanted those 2 transfers to go, we still had 2 staff ambulances here in the county as they went out.
Okay, got anything more?
Monthly report? I added the running total on the times on the back for Mr. Bauer as his request, so.
Pat, get one.
We were a lot busier.
I've already got one, so I got one from my meeting.
We were a
We
lot
got 4
busier
copies there, I don't know.
in May than we were the previous 2 months, and that's kind of a normal uptick. Summer months, we see that. So 165 total calls, 130 patient transports. We transported 78.8% of the patients we saw on calls. 116 911 responses, 47 transfers, 2 standbys. Our standbys will start to come up in the summer months too, and in the fall too, because we do more athletic standbys.
Your shoot times went down, what, a minute and a half?
Shoot time's still, no, actually our shoot time went up.
Oh,
Nominally.
I thought we was 3 something, and now we're 2
No, it
something.
was 2.17, you know,
Oh.
almost 2.34 in May. Our turnaround time went up. Initially, I was a little bit concerned about that. After I investigated why, we ran a substantially higher volume of serious calls. So serious calls, more equipment, more cleanup, our turnaround time went up. So I'm not concerned about it. I don't want it to go up, but when you look at individually what calls we were running, that's kind of a normal thing. So other than that, scene time was up a little bit too, but again, I investigated that. We had more situations where people did not want to go on the ambulance, and we had more situations where we had to extricate people out of longer scene times. So it's a nominal bump. I'm not concerned about that either. But yeah, just a busier month, but summer tends to be busier in this industry, so I would expect to see those numbers similar over the next 2 to 3 months.
I see we had 2 calls out of county. How do you deal with them? Was that,
They were mutual aid calls.
I
Another
see.
county called and requested our assistance on something because one call was a serious enough call they just needed more help. The other one was a situation where they were out of ambulances and had a call they couldn't cover.
well, that's good.
So we went and helped them.
There'll be a time where they can help us.
Yep, oh, absolutely, we get help. Mutual aid is a normal part of the business.
Vital. Any questions?
No, I had a long conversation with Corey the other day, so I got pretty
Mhm.
Had a
much
very good conversation.
my questions answered.
Is that what you want on that last page? Is that where we have the running totals
So I
compared?
think that's the way to look at it, so.
No problem to do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks again. Say, Justin, you ready? Why don't we just skip over that and then come right to you?
So I'm not here today as a representative of the City of Atchison. I'm here as a board member of Theater Atchison, which is the live performing arts theater on at 401 Santa Fe. Been an outstanding operator of live performances for almost 35 years in this community. Travis, of course, is the executive director there. As you probably read in the newspaper, our board has authorized us to move forward with a couple of things. One is we executed a 6-month option on the Royal Movie Theater building, and second was a preliminary design contract with an architect. Happens to be the same architect that worked on the 93 project, so he's got kind of a jump start on drawings and designs and things like that. Do you want to take?
Yep. So what we're looking for, we've got a tax credit grant that we're looking to write and get completed and submitted by July 1. So we're trying to garner support from all the agencies and organizations and clubs in town, you being one of them. So I simply have a letter here. I just want to read it out loud to you. It'd be something you put your signatures on, simply showing the support for this. We get as many of these types of commissions and or committees or councils even behind us, then it steps up our game at the state level. But it simply reads, on behalf of the citizens of Atchison County, the Atchison County Commission is proud to support Theater Atchison in the pursuit of community service tax credits to assist in the funding of the Silver Screen project in downtown Atchison. Theater Atchison has been a valuable member of our community for over 3 decades, and we're thrilled to see this project move forward. Thank you for your consideration of this project. And just have the commissioner's signatures, something we'll submit with our grant, and then we can go from there. So that's all. We're not really asking anything other than your support. Obviously, it brings more tax dollars to our community. I think you do or don't know how nonprofit organizations work. The one thing that we don't typically pay is a profit tax on our gains for the course of a year. This particular project would be a side business to what we do, so we actually are subject to 1 or 2% of actual tax that we would have to pay for profit. In addition, every ticket we sell and every drink and every popcorn bucket we sell is taxed, just like anything else.
Our preliminary understanding of how property tax would work is that as a 501c3 that would own and operate this operation, we wouldn't have to pay full commercial assessment rate, that being 25%. We're eligible for I think it's 12%. I've had some back and forth with Melissa in the appraiser's office about how that designation works. There are some examples of like the historic Fox Theater in Hutchinson is one example. They went through a big legal battle that I think went to the Court of Appeals as to whether or not they were eligible to not pay any property tax. Given our neighborhood revitalization program, which we'd be eligible for, the combination of the 12% assessment and using neighborhood revitalization, I don't think that the total exemption thing is something that we want to get into a big legal battle about in case that question comes up. So we will pay property tax just pretty similar to what a residential valuation would be.
How are you gonna get by for a nonprofit if you're gonna have a concession stand?
Well, that's irrelevant. We sell concessions at our live performing arts theater too. You can do anything with a nonprofit organization. You can do with a for-profit
They have to collect sales
organization.
tax.
We do, and we do it
Oh,
at theater.
okay.
We collect sales tax at our theater too, where we sell tickets currently.
So your goal is to have maybe monthly shows, weekly shows?
No, well, I imagine. I mean, ideally, it would be so popular we'd be open 7 days a week,
Oh,
like
really?
any other standard movie theater. If it may be wintertime, our demographic, you understand what less than 11,000 people in this area. It may be such that come wintertime, we don't actually have that many. We're open maybe Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It just depends on what we could sell. I mean, I'm not going to keep it open for 2 people a night kind of a thing, but we think by weekends we'll do first run movies, so they'll be popular all the way through. What we've learned in judging and monitoring the movie theater business, their dearth or their downtime is January, February when big movies aren't coming out. But by summer blockbusters, and that could be, we'd have matinee shows for kids, we do evening programs. We could be running 7 days a week during the summer, maybe 3 days a week during the winter.
So it's gonna be a combination of a movie plus your
Well, I'm
productions?
glad you asked, but no, it's not. It's gonna be strictly a movie theater.
Oh.
We'll keep our performing arts theater over where it's at.
Oh, see, I
I'll
thought,
be the overall manager for both complexes, and then I'll have a manager hired for the movie theater, and then I'll be the direct respondent to that manager. They'll report to me weekly, and I'll take care of all the ins and outs of the details.
The article said something about like a meeting room or that type of thing like that. Is that for like parties where the
Yep.
kids
Yep.
parties
Could be
and
a kids' party, could be, we have comedy club night, we could stick it back there. You know, I'm not sure of all the royalty rights, but if we had World Series viewing parties or NCAA viewing tournaments, that kind of stuff, that's how we
After
envision.
event,
Yeah,
Yeah, kids' birthday parties certainly.
that's getting to be quite the thing,
It is.
having a birthday
It is.
party at one location.
we think that would be nice to have that third space that we could even maybe possibly show movies in or show anything we want to do, something.
So the idea
Versatility.
is to make the original front the front, which is on the mall side, and then still have access from the parking lot side with a hallway or two maybe on both sides that would go down the edges to get you to the front, which is where the box office and the concession stand would be. Where that existing concession stand is on the parking lot side, that's what we're talking about as this like third, in performing arts world, it's called a black box theater,
Right.
It's fairly simple, everything's pretty dark, but it's pretty versatile. You can pop a stage in there, you can have retractable seats that just kind of
Put
stick
round
in
tables
the
in it,
wall,
whatever you
round
wanna do,
tables.
yeah.
Hey, Justin, I had brought this up earlier in the meeting, because I was reporting on other people behind this, but the tax credits, and they're gonna be really more important now that we've just raised our state tax by $1.5 billion, so. Could you, we have an audience that will be on to Lamar, we're not live.
Sure.
But tell people what the tax credits are, how they can, when you talk to their accountant, how do they go about buying them?
Okay.
That's a good
Okay,
question.
sure. So these are at the state level. There's a series of tax credit programs at the state level. Some of them are, another variety of them are entrepreneurship tax credits that we've taken advantage of with our e-community program and that small business loan program we started. Those are
We gotta
a
make a motion.
75%.
we got to make a motion first. I just had it for you to read. Sorry.
Those are a 75% state tax credit as well as a federal tax deduction. So if you're in the 25% or greater federal tax bracket, you can actually make money buying those tax credits. These are community service tax credits. There's about 3.5 million that's available this year throughout the state. They're a 70% state tax credit as well as a federal deduction. So you'd have to be in the 30% or higher bracket to make money buying them. However, also for a project like this, you may be able to give the project $10,000, and you're actually giving them it's only costing you $1,000, if that makes sense. So it's a way to accelerate contributions to the project through this program. And usually they give money to hospital foundations. A Boys and Girls Club wants a new roof. They've given money to the Fox Theater that's in Hutchinson. There's an art space theater that's in Overland Park. There's a theater in a very small town outside of Wichita that this program's given money to. What they want to see is that it's an impactful social gain, and that the organization they're giving it to, there's a real community need, which is why we're on this support tour. So if we can show that the city and the county and the Economic Development Advisory Board and USD 409 and the Planning Commission and the Boys and Girls Club and the YMCA and the Chamber, and if we just line everybody up and say, hey, we didn't run into a single person who said that this wasn't a community need, we think that's a compelling argument for this to get funded. And the cap for an individual project is $250,000 in tax credits, which translates to about $350,000 in real value to this project. And we think we're going to be around $800,000 to completely gut the space. $550 would be the construction, and about $250 in equipment, screens, projectors, audio, all those kinds of things.
So you're saying if I buy some tax credits and I'm in the 30% tax bracket, I could actually make money?
For this program, yes.
This program.
The application is due July 1st, and we expect to hear about 6 weeks after that. Just, I guess, for your benefit, since folks are listening to this, and for your benefit too as well. We are both, Travis and I, of the opinion that the existing configuration of the theater, most people have a better viewing experience in their home than what that affords. With it's a narrow space anyway, and it's split in half lengthwise. which worked for 10 or 15 years, but as technology advanced, it's not feasible to have those side-by-side theaters like that and still have a world-class viewing experience. So our vision is to have a single screen downstairs, and similar to what it was, I believe, in the early 80s, late 70s, to have the second screen be upstairs.
That's still
in the
up there.
balcony. It's still there.
Still up there.
That leads me to a question I was gonna ask. What are you gonna do different to make it go when the former owner couldn't make it go? Just configuration and
know,
better quality?
That's a good question. Where he, I wouldn't say got into trouble, that's not the right word, but where his challenge was that when technology changed, went from film to digital, he wasn't prepared to be able to invest in money to make it work. At that point in time, he wasn't garnering the ticket sales, space had been run down, people weren't coming. It's like he mentioned, that viewing experience, you better flat screen TV sitting in with surround, and it was better to sit in your living room and do that than to go sit in that space, look up at the ceiling.
Or to drive.
And yeah, and even drive it.
I got to the point where I'd rather drive 45 minutes just
Mo-
to
Movie
see the same
viewing should be
movie.
experience.
Yeah, it should be, agreed.
No, I watch it on television otherwise, so.
So we'll have our goal is to have a theater that will compete with and be exactly like a Kansas City theater. Have the nice overstuffed chairs, it'll have the great surround sound, have all the concessions that you're going to want. There's going to be no need for anybody to be Kansas City. You know, grandma and grandpa go down and take the kids now, where they won't drive to Kansas City for the experience. We're not going to lose tax dollars to St. Joe or Kansas City, Missouri anymore. I mean, we'll have a good,
Big for the restaurants. in the
yeah,
area.
all the area, outlying county areas, those people will be coming in. We've got another 10,000 people to draw from in the two counties that surround us.
When I leave town to go to the theater, it's unusual that I don't stop at a restaurant.
And eat, absolutely.
Maybe I stop at a store on the way.
Absolutely. While you're there, you might as well,
So
right?
it has a big effect.
Sure.
You guys are right on the right track.
And so to break even on this with about our budget, we need to sell maybe 20,000 tickets. For frame of reference, in 1993, the first year that that project opened, they did about 40,000. So we don't think it'll be an unrealistic year if we can meet our fundraising goals. And we've got some good interest, I think, from local foundations and benefactors. And this tax credit application would certainly be a heavy lifter in our fundraising.
That's gonna help you get started,
That
but,
would be
but
a nice
to
way
maintain it after this first year.
Sure.
Yeah.
I just cover revenue.
Yeah, and on just if you look at the big picture on it, if we had to pull out of pocket $800,000, we couldn't make it with a two-screen theater. You can't service the debt. You can't sell enough tickets for it. You just can't do it.
That would take 60,000 tickets,
Yeah.
which is the reason there hasn't been a private company enter into this market, is because it's too expensive now. There's not enough tickets to be sold here
Right.
to service the debt and pay the property tax. And it's a high risk, low return investment from a business perspective to do a movie theater, which is why we kind of became convinced that a nonprofit entity, and Theater Atchison, already doing live performing arts, had a lot of overlap with that mission. So they've been around for 3 decades. So the hope would be too that this iteration would have a longer shelf life than the last one did. Although 25 years is a pretty good run for 1993 to 13.
Yeah, that's right. 13,
Something like
2013,
20,
2014 maybe,
years.
yeah.
Not a bad run, but our hope is that this has a little bit more enduring quality to it because we've got a nonprofit partner that's already been around for 30 plus years.
Okay.
Any other questions we can answer for you while we're here?
Can't think of anything.
I heard a rumor a month ago that, I believe it was AMC was interested out of Kansas City.
A month ago probably would have been us. We weren't
Oh,
AMC.
maybe it's you.
We had our fingers in that door a couple of months ago trying to kind of peg something.
Well, like a rumor, you know, it changes.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely. I'm glad.
There's always some truth to it.
Yeah, there's right. A sliver of truth to anything
Yeah.
you hear,
Yeah,
right?
Putting my city economic development hat on, we kicked the tires for a lot of those kind of small town theater operators. I talked to the guy in Parsons that runs that as an independent, and went through the people that developed those B&B theaters, which are in a lot of towns of similar size, and they're not really expanding at this point. Once things
You get
went
a lot of
digital.
people in town looking at it, so.
And yeah, Louise can certainly tell you she had the listing for a long time. Everybody thinks it's an awesome, fun idea to run until you look into what the digital equipment and everything costs, and then you kind of go, oh, I
Yeah.
don't have that.
This is
kinda-
big,
Yeah,
big
this is
dollar.
big,
Big dollars, yeah.
exactly.
Big investment.
Exactly.
It is.
Well, I would make a motion for the county to send a letter of support for this project to the Kansas Department of Commerce, and with our full support.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Pass 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Can't wait for the grand opening.
My sister happened to go to a theater, and I believe it was Emporia or it was Cottonwood Falls. It was down in that area, and they actually had a small table there, and they had waitresses. They would serve food during the theater
They have that
performance.
over there.
They've got that in Kansas City as well. There's that same sort of
But they were really surprised because it was in a
You need a
small.
copy of this, or?
Do you need?
I can get it.
If you buy one,
You'd like one for your.
the original.
It's kind of a smaller market, smaller town, and they really liked it. They enjoyed it thoroughly.
Neat.
But that it probably wouldn't work in this configuration. That's
Right. Cuts out
again
The,
kitchen,
right.
more staff,
Yeah.
whole room situation.
Business on top of a business, restaurant business and room, yeah.
the cast
Oh, yeah.
concrete building is somewhat
You'd be
limited.
surprised what those tickets cost, though.
That's true. That's probably where they're making it
The
up.
fork and screen theater.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was
You
gonna
guys have your
try,
work cut out for you.
bring
Yeah.
this
Get this
up.
done.
Especially if our tax credit application is unsuccessful,
Right.
then we have a mighty hill to climb. But
Right.
we'll get there either way.
I had
Is
a,
Antonio still with the Secretary of Commerce?
He is.
I had an email from former Commissioner Shealy's that one of you, somebody talked to
I
him,
talked to Jeff.
and
yeah.
that you would like to expand possibly into a building that we currently own.
There was a thought that was kicked around originally when we looked at bringing the front of that building to the back and vice versa. The parking lot's never going to go away, and that's our primary parking. But if we can get people back up to the front of it, how cool would that be? And so, yeah, that's the unfortunate thing, is putting a hallway into this building cuts down our seating space. When we looked at that building, it's just, we've got 2 restaurants and we've got that county building there. How cool would it be to have that corridor that you could put your restrooms, your concession stand, expand that space out? So we did kick that around. With Jeff, I was talking to Jeff on another matter.
But you're not interested at this point.
Oh, I think we'd entertain.
I don't
that,
know
yeah.
if we're interested in selling it. I just,
Understood.
We don't have a
Obvious.
place for the, until we have a
no place
for
to go
that.
with it. no.
Yeah.
You would just keep us in mind on that. as
Yeah.
we're-
It's just something that can be done at a later stage.
Should be done right off the get-go, shouldn't, if you're gonna do
I would feel like
it.
you're
That
right.
would
That'd
be
be the best
ideal.
way.
You're gonna be spending dollars that you would normally have to spend over
Right.
if you
Yeah,
did
it
it
would
once
be-
versus twice.
It would be nice for restrooms, storage, concessions, arcade,
Mhm.
some of those things that's the building that we're looking at is so limiting because it's cast concrete. And that limits your options. Some of those load-bearing concrete walls, like what supports the mezzanine.
You can't move them. You
Yeah,
can't go
it's-
anywhere.
I was
So,
in there a year ago and it smelled.
yeah, it's rough. That's why we have to do a total abatement. I mean, it's got to be gutted. Get all
Well,
that
the basement
out
But the
situation
Art Deco's
is.
full, so.
there. It is.
Yeah.
Well, didn't we have a sewage problem from the grease in the restaurant to plug up and put water in the
That's what I
basement of
understand.
that and
Yeah.
put water in our
Yeah.
building?
That's what I
And it
understand.
was kind of a mess, so that's probably where the smell and stuff's from.
That's where it started. You're right.
Yeah, that's right. Well, if you,
Yeah, if you-
we're open to that conversation.
Yeah, if that's something you'd be interested in, we'd entertain it. We'd look at throwing that into the scope.
On that matter, we'd have to have, because it's not a budgeted thing for us to move that building. So whatever we get, I mean, we couldn't do it and sell that building for very little because we're going to have it on the other end to move.
Right.
So that's where I could see that become limiting.
Mhm.
And we may be at the full cap of what we can fundraise anyway. So maybe it's just one of those ideas that would be nice, but sometimes ideas are great, we have to deliver on the idea that's doable
Right.
sometimes too.
Is there a possibility to stick our head in there and just to daydream that, spitball it?
I mean, just to look through.
Just to look through? Just
Yeah,
to
I
see
don't
how
think
the-
there would
the
be a
lay of
problem
the
with
land.
that.
Okay. Might do that this
Yeah,
year.
not trying to be sneaky about it.
No, right, right.
Well, you have no idea what's there until you actually look at it. But
Exactly.
I don't mind that at
But
all.
in your architecture, you maybe should think about, even if it's not gonna happen now, think about if it did happen in there,
Mhm.
for ability to, put a portal or whatever.
Mhm. Yeah, sounds good. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Well, thank you for your support, gentlemen.
Thank you, John.
And-
Thank
Hey,
you.
on your theater,
Yes, sir.
you may want to keep in mind, you have a dancer, you have a singer, and you have a comedian.
Sounds good.
That is very funny.
I think that's a three-man show.
There you go.
I'm not singing and dancing.
Oh, you're the dancer, he's the singer.
I'm okay, I'll do it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Thanks.
very much. I appreciate it.
You bet. Okay, next on the agenda, we'll skip back to the K.S.A. bylaws and interlocal agreement.
If I may, Mr. Chairman,
Mm-hmm.
I would like for them to make an offer of what they could do possibly. So therefore, we could look or consider, and it may be like Richard or Justin said, that they maxed out on what they can do financially with what they're gonna get.
What do you think it costs to move the building?
To move into another building, I don't know.
Thing is, it'd be nice if we had a building we're gonna move a lot of people into. That's where I think we need to start.
Well, see, I approached Mr. Cottle and he said, well, I'll give you, if you're trying to save tax, I'll give you a good deal. What the good deal is, I don't know. But that was on the,
Well, he's a realtor, he's always gonna give you a good deal. It's his job.
well, I think he owns this particular building.
Yeah, he does own the building, and he owns it.
I don't,
Legion.
personally, I don't think it would hurt to look. It may not, it may be plumb out of the ballpark, and it may be more feasible than what you think.
Yeah, I leased that building for several years. It seems to be a decent building, so.
Okay. You got something for us?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Why don't we
I'm
just-
schedule. I just real quick, we had a PO. This will be for our bridge inspections. For this year, there's 11 inspections on for this year, and 1 hands-on pressure critical. That one going out $7,000 from Swab Eaton.
Did Roger get a hold of you on
Yes, I was just down there. I'm going back down after this
Okay.
meeting, and we're gonna get those maps developed. And
that? Okay. I didn't know whether that was something that he already had or whether that was
for the
something you
most part, he has the information. He just has to put it
transferred.
off into a different little file and then build or create a map. So
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion to approve the PO to Schwab Eaton in the amount of $7,000 for bridge inspections?
So moved.
I second it.
And it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion?
Yeah, why are these coming out of aren't these like a year off?
there's 12 month and there's 24 month. These are the 12-month ones that happen every year.
I
So,
see,
these happen just to come up now.
I see,
Just got all
okay.
the,
I thought it was 2 and 4 years.
Yeah, no, it's 1 or 2 years.
Okay.
And these are the 1 year
All right,
for inspection.
that's the only comment I had.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Passed 3-0.
Also, I'm still currently working on my budget. I hope to have it up here next week for you guys to look over. And that'll be a lost but not retrieved one, which Connie had done before I got there, so it's ready. I just need to bring it up.
Just remember it's Wednesday.
Yeah, next week we're on
Okay.
Wednesday and the following week, the 5th of July.
Okay. Also, the 2019 Off-System Bridge Replacement Program, more or less, since we were selected for 2018, we're not really in the running for a 2019 Off-System Bridge. We can go ahead and try to file for one if we'd like. If not, it's up to you. But more time, I talked with Kent at K.S.A. and he kind of specified that really it's not a point in it unless you have something that's just,
Imminent.
yeah. And I mean, we have some, but nothing that crucial. More times than not, we're not going to be selected. We can spend the money to have, Swab Eaton throw one together. I don't know how much it costs to have them throw one together. Or we can just wait a year and submit again. Or we can take this year and resubmit next year. Okay. Where we want to fall now. And we have a few that we can throw in there. We have till, I believe, end of July to submit something.
So basically you were told that unless something is extreme measures there, that even if we submitted, we wouldn't be eligible because we got one this year.
More times than not.
We got 2 this year, didn't we?
Because they only select, just one off. We're still working on the 2016
16.
one. 2018 is being developed right now will be let in 2018, so. We did submit one in 2017, we were denied, same concept, basically every 2 years, so. We can try if you'd like.
Well, if we were selected for the 16 and off for the 17, wouldn't we be up for the 18 then?
We have the 18, we were given the 18.
We were granted
was-
that.
Last year we were selected for that one.
Okay.
2018, so it's in the works to let in 18.
I misunderstood.
This one's coming now, so it's starting to be developed for 2019.
19.
Okay.
So forth.
Okay.
So if you'd like, I can proceed on with working with our engineering firm to develop a plan, or we can just kind of let it sit this year and we can come up with a plan for just a smaller bridge that we can work off of our own county
What
budget.
would be your guesstimation of cost to submit a plan?
I wouldn't think more than $1,000.
I know we're not going to get it because in the past it's like every other year you qualify. So, but I'd hate to lose a bridge for over $1,000 as well too.
As long as if we could develop something smaller that we could handle on our own, so I don't want to miss out putting bridges in altogether.
Correct.
So I guess if we could develop something smaller that we can handle and do ourselves, I would be satisfied with that.
Okay. So I am meeting with Chris with Husker Steel tomorrow. He kind of sells the bridge packages, and they also do some of the work and design. And we were going to go look at a couple of these smaller size bridges where we could either build them ourselves or they can bring in their crews. Something a little bit more budget friendly for us to do without a K.S.A. assistance. So.
One thing, the last couple of Huskers that we put in there, we had a lot of speculation whether we needed guardrails and approaches and stuff on that. So that's something to keep in mind when we're pricing these out.
Correct, and they always do give us that option if we would like the guardrails, and they always select it as an option to be added, so, or I would, so we can see the price of that guardrail system would cost us, so.
Okay.
So Seth, do you get a break if you do 10 bridges at a time?
We're lucky.
It would break
to pass
us.
on.
It would break us. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know how many
they
mills
would,
you
they
spend
would,
on.
if we did more than one in a year, they would probably give us a mobilization discount on that, because they'd have their crews here and their equipment wouldn't have to.
So how many mills do we spend on bridges every year?
It varies.
I mean, and I know I'm saying something
2.
that's completely contrary to our philosophy. What if you bonded 10 bridges and then paid it off with the same mill levy? Could you get a big enough break? Something to think about. I'm not.
Yeah, but we can bring it up for discussion, and I can kind of talk around, see what we can come up.
But again,
Well, if we could do something like that, that would help because building 1 or 2, we got 5 that need to be replaced every year. So you think you're gaining, but you're actually losing.
We're falling
Yeah.
behind.
you're not
But
only
we're a lot
gonna-
more aggressive than they've been in the past.
You're not only though. I mean, you can't. They're not cookie cutter bridges. Most of them all have to be the design and the specifications and everything. So it's hard to generically buy a bridge and then stick it somewhere.
I understand you're not buying tiles at the Walmart, but you are probably some of the design costs. And there's probably a lot of economies of scale thinking of doing more, but you might have to issue some debt to do it. So, but if it's the same mill levy anyway, if you're spending the same mills, I don't know if you could or not, but to retire some debt, it might be worth thinking about.
And something else, if you could, let's say 5, I think 10 is probably, but if you build 5 or you couldn't build those 5 for 5 years from now, I can almost guarantee you they're probably going to double in cost.
That's another valid point. I think it's worth the discussion. I don't think for right now, but maybe going forward.
Yeah, we could look into that. I mean, it'd be great if we could do something like that to get 10 bridges going. I mean,
Or
that'd be a
2.
lot.
I already made 10 up. I mean,
Tubes.
Yeah,
I don't think 10's realistic.
Yeah.
I'd be ideal. I mean, ideal would be 5. I mean, that's a lot. I mean,
That's a lot in 1 year.
But if we could find 2 or 3 small ones and 2 large ones, that might be yeah, it's something to discuss here in the future. I know K.S.A. had developed some plans to help with some of that engineering cost. They have a set amount of plans, and you can get them for the different lengths. And all you really have to design with an engineer is your abutments. So that might be a huge cost savings on something that we could do with that. So, I'll look into that further and see what we can come up with.
And I would also say that it might be more feasible than what you think, because we have our equipment up in good shape. If we had our new facility up down the road, there might be some, where we've been spending for equipment and this and that, there might be some surplus starting to add up.
I guess I'm not quite following. You would purchase these bridges to be designed later, or would you have to lay out specific areas? I don't know how the process would go, that you wouldn't know what you purchase until you've had your engineering work done.
I think Jack's comment, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're just be committing so many mills towards bridges, right? Right.
But I mean, also you could issue debt and pay down with mills that is equal to what you're spending anyway. So I'm saying, if he spent 2 mills on bridges, could we pay down the debt on 5 bridges for the same 2 mills
I mean, start
over 5 years?
paying on bridges that
So it'd be
haven't
like
been put
a
in yet.
lease
No,
on some
No,
equipment.
the
or
ones that
lease.
have been put in, we'd just be paying on.
You'd be making payments on them, like a lease purchase.
But it would be probably with a bond or something.
Yeah, I don't know whether the company that would lock in prices that far down the road or not. Do you think they would?
Oh, yeah, they definitely would. I don't
They're
know
gonna
what the
add
cost-
more profit, but
Well, you'd have to determine, is the cost of bonding going to be more than the
I mean, there's a lot of
savings
calculations.
more, yeah.
Mhm.
If there's a savings to doing a bunch of them at a time, is the cost of bonding more or less than that savings, to see if it saves money or not? But yeah, you could definitely bond construction projects.
Well, what I was getting at is you really wouldn't know what you would be purchasing yet. You'd be paying on something to be decided later.
they'd have to be engineered.
No, that's not the way it works.
and-
Well, the engineering upfront cost, though, would be
Well,
quite a bit before. I'm saying you're going to have 5 bridges to engineer, and then hopefully get the companies to sign off and be paying on this. Because you couldn't.
well, that's true, but you should be able to come up with some educated guess as to parameters of what the bridges are going to cost. And they're not going to be completely engineered, but you have a ballpark idea.
You'd be close.
Yeah.
Particularly if a experienced engineer does it. But yeah, that's true.
That's where I'm seeing, we're almost the cart before the horse type thing there. How do we lay this out to where when it comes time that, okay, we do have the right bridge in the right place
Well, that's
with the right engineering and,
If you want to build 5 bridges next year, you could decide to issue debt to do it, or bonds, and that would be the debt I'm talking about. And then
If
you pay
you're-
the debt down over whatever the appropriate number of years would be, which would be less than the life of the bridge, in a mill levy that is about similar to what we're spending on bridges anywhere. Well, it won't cost you any more, but you get more bridges now, and to Bill's point, maybe we'd save money sometime in the future.
where I think I was losing what you were talking about, you would almost start them all now. And I thought you were
That's
talking
what I mean.
about,
No, build them now. I mean, build them whenever we're.
I thought it was in the future, you would be buying them now to put in as needed, but you're talking about starting them all now,
Yeah.
which would be,
I mean, that's
more
different
feasible.
than where a price rate, but it's the way you're going to make progress. I mean, eventually.
We're
What
gonna
is
have
the
to
life
get
of a
aggressive.
bridge?
We're gonna have to get more aggressive, and
And I know we're a cash-only type mentality. I'm not trying to suggest we ought to start borrowing a lot of money, but I think there are some projects we should look at it.
I was talking with Representative Epley last Saturday morning, and that's one reason I was wanting the map of the structure critical bridges, because basically he was not that informed about the need for these bridges out in the rural areas, and he thought possibly that's something that he would like to work for, is to try to get these rural communities bridges, and for these like our situation here. So that's one reason I was wanting the information, so I could pass along to him, because he's never seen the map of all of our structure critical bridges and how many we have. And That's one thing I'd like a count of, how many we've got to replace in like the next 10 to 20 years.
Yeah, because, I mean, also with those fracture criticals, you have the sufficient rating, and we had, I think I counted this morning, 60 that are under 50. No, 60 that were under the weight limit of 10, and then the sufficient rating, I didn't even count all those, because there's 3/4 of them are under 50, and that's not a good number to have, so. We're gonna put together a map that shows the lowest to the highest, and kind of show where they're at. The weight limits on them, we're gonna kind of show a map where those are all at, so we can see in an area that, if there's all 3-ton bridges, we need to at least replace one of those so people can get across safely, so. We're gonna work on that together the rest of the afternoon. I'm gonna kind of
Oh,
show
the
them.
highest traffic areas too.
Correct, and he has all that information he can pull in. We can overlay maps and see, okay, this is the highest area, why is there not a good bridge here? And so hopefully all this comes together, we can put it up on there and we can.
If we build one bridge a year, we'll be building bridges.
We have
And never, it's not
260
bad bridges.
We have 260 bridges, 160-ish that are on the state inspection list, so those are all 20 foot and larger in length. So there's a lot. Okay, anything else?
Had a call wanting some of that grindings, and I think you talked to him. And I said, well, my understanding was we're going to sell it to the asphalt place. He said, well, Bill, they're dumping. I said, well, they're stockpiling. He said, no, this where they dump this, they're not getting it back.
A lot of people wanted those millings. We got to a point where the stockpiles were full. Bungie kind of cut us off at a point because we were overtaking our area. And that was due to the fact the pipeline came in and says we had to stay out of a certain area where we were planning on dumping. So we got to a point where in order to not back up the milling, we had to just start dumping. So I started calling different areas. Right off 59 was one of them. They said, dump as much as you want there, that's fine.
But it was like a hole that needed it?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It's right there off 59. It's right in front of the milk house where they've been dumping for
Yeah.
And then we have a few contractors come in with the price, and so we'll make agreements and we agreed on the price. We were selling some back to asphalt plant Leavenworth, and then a few contractors that came in and settled on the price. And we're good right now. Basically, once we were done out there, we're not selling anymore. Just gonna say it one time. There was a lot of people called Monday morning. Word got out that we were selling. I told them that we're no longer selling to individuals anymore. We're just gonna start going more that way as we go down the asphalt. So I guess that's a hot topic deal. One asphalt milling, so everybody wants it.
You'd be surprised how good it is, because I put some in front of my shed that if I would have used gravel, I would have hauled 10 times. But it just like it stays there. It's good stuff.
If we had a big enough stockpile area, we probably kept it all. We filled up the one behind the county shop that we had, and then Bungie was allowing us to stockpile as much as we could there. So, yeah, we still ran out of room, so there's a lot. So, more than I anticipated, put it that way. So, but they're done with that. We're overlaying. A lot of soft spots we found after they build up, so we're repairing those. So it's a little slower down there.
You want to go into executive session to talk about Lancaster? I should be on the phone.
No, you're going to be down at Roger's office. I'll be down there and talk with you in a little bit about tonight. So.
Did they give us calculation of the square yards?
When they estimated, they did,
But
not after the
but
fact.
measured when we don't know.
Okay, we got the roller in and we're starting on this project up here now, or going to, or?
We're on it right now.
Oh,
We gotta get that overlaid, that road. We're taking 2 inches off. We gotta get it back, cover it back up. And we are finding a lot of soft spots as traffic takes it, so it's good to find those before we overlay it and find later after it's in the road. River Road will start soon as we're done with asphalt.
do you have a chance to go down and look at Sherman Road about the road so close,
Correct.
about putting
I
some
did look at
cables?
those. We really just need to get some fill those banks. The banks just keep getting closer and closer. We can still guardrail it out there if we get 3 or 4 There's a lot of those around the road.
We got the tractor and mower out mowing roads yet?
Track mowers broke down, so I got the jam foot being repaired.
They're brand new.
They sent us up a leader, I guess we ran on the fruit room. They didn't have slide mount motors, so they were just pulling her out of the battery. Nothing about that or battery was in great shape, so it's not really working well, so they kind of canceled it. They called today, told us that they had to actually put the tractor to work or whatever they do, so. Not been a good week.
The retirement party's this Thursday from 12 to 3.
12:30 to 3. Lunch. Can't be around.
Or are we gonna do anything as commissioners?
I don't know if is that something that we normally do, or?
I got it.
Okay. Well, we give, of course, she's elected.
Department head.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think that we've normally
Never
done
done.
things for non-department heads,
Okay.
so. Okay, thank you. Okay, now,
Just on this private party, this 133 or whatever, I think that there ought to be some guidelines or something in regard to that, because to me, if someone's leaving after 20 years, they're not a department head, cake and punch at some point.
I think that's
It-
basically
it
what this
kinda
is.
does- But it's like 2 hours long.
Yeah, well, I think it's just,
Is lunch-
I've already, like I said, I've already brought it up that the rest of the crew aren't gonna be there the whole time. I mean, it's a working
Right.
thing, so I don't know how normally they've done things like that, but I think it's just gonna be kind of like, stop in, probably be Kent and his family there.
I think having those things are nice. The length is all.
I think it should have been 12 to 1:30, because they kind of got their lunch hour, so we'd really only be donating a half an hour. But it's already been set up now.
Yeah, well, that's something, yeah, we'll have to take, maybe set a policy or something like that.
That was a concern, as far as setting a policy as to be it an elected versus an appointed, or just, an hourly, just a worker. I mean, as far as what level, and then to what extent do you actually, as far as like gifts and, if it's just somebody resigning to go somewhere else, or if it's somebody that's actually been here for over a certain amount of years and retiring, the length of time they've been here plus the office that they've held, and so there is some concern as far as, to trying to be as consistent as possible.
Mhm.
So maybe there needs to be a policy written to where we can stay consistent, because if you do something for someone and not someone else who may have been unappointed or had been here 10 years longer, you get hurt feelings, and I think that's the concern as far as maybe trying to write some sort of policy for that.
That covers
So
Jamie's
guidelines.
office. Does that cover Jamie's office?
Did the concern?
No, the.
Oh, it should
The
probably,
policy.
yes, it should,
Yeah.
the policy should come from Jamie's office, or, as far as maybe even get a couple, people together with the board.
Even
to-
put something out as a survey, and what would you think would be appropriate to let people have some input on it?
I think county commissioner Hawaiian trip or
What's that?
Hawaiian trip.
For county commissioners when they,
Well, yeah, especially if we need to go look at the road, the bridges over
yeah, yeah.
Do some comparisons.
there. Yeah, we go over and look at bridges there.
Yeah,
See how their rural bridges are working.
Yeah, that would be quite
I'll go over a bit.
I think you'd be lynched before you left Atchison County.
Well, I talk about on the tail end of your term, or not while you was.
Yeah, it would be a junket.
Yeah.
You would need to be maybe while you're in office, so you could look at
That would
those.
be
and-
called a wild and lame duck or
Yeah.
move or something.
Yeah, while you were still alive, type
Yeah.
of thing. So.
All right, enough selling it.
Yeah, have our fun. Okay, now we got the K-Camp 2017 bylaws and interlocal cooperative agreement, PDF agreement here.
I tried to read it.
Yeah, it's,
Oh, that's a lot.
I got this.
we've got it here. Have you both had a chance to review it to your,
I got through about 6 or 7 pages and
I'd
I
like to
clicked
hear
my
what the
computer
county
off.
councilor has to
He hadn't read
Well,
it.
no, I've read it. We're a member of K-Camp, and they're basically updating their procedures, and that's what modernizing and it's bringing them into compliance with all the statutes. So it's just a new interlocal agreement that doesn't make huge changes from what we have in place now. I don't know, I haven't heard any discussion about a desire to get away from the pool towards traditional insurance or into a different pool. But we're sort of married to them at this point. Yeah, I would recommend execution.
Well, I would make a motion to approve the interlocal agreement through K-Camp 2017 as presented.
I second that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion on this?
How long did that run? 1 year, 4 years?
No, it's in perpetuity.
Oh, okay.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed 3-0. Now, it says said resolution having been adopted. So does this need a resolution number?
Yes.
Okay. So,
We had something else last week that we needed a number put on too.
okay, so that will just be put on later. Am I the only one to sign this then?
Probably.
Probably as
There's
chairman.
two. Okay.
Don't want to help you in Hawaii when it comes up.
Should be the 20th.
Let me ask you something, Michelle. In the past, we've always got the resolution number like that. Why has there been a change?
I mean, as far as you've gotten the resolution prior to the resolution
No,
being signed?
once we sign something like this, they'd go over there and they'd see what the last number was. They'd come back and tell us the number and we'd write it in.
That's probably because I didn't know I needed to go over and get it. I've only had 2 resolutions. This is only my second one since I started, so
Now,
I definitely can.
that's right, isn't that, in the past, that's when we had to have.
Oh, it took a little while, but yeah, I think it really more or less depended on whether,
I guess it's no big deal, but it would
Whether
just
it's
look
here.
better if the number and everything was completed before our chairman signed it.
Well, I didn't this
And
one.
just so they're not, it's not forgotten.
You don't have a place to sign. It just says to print name.
Bye.
Attest, is that me or is that when it says, that's Michelle. So,
Would you be up here?
well, it says print name.
This is by Sam.
I'd sign it right where it says bye.
Right, oh, right here? Okay,
Yeah.
there's not a line there.
I know. Short term, mate. What do you think, Pat?
Should I sign right up there? It says
Should Eric sign
right
it
there?
here?
yep.
Okay.
Get 2 signatures.
Hmm?
We'll get 2 signatures from you today.
Well, I got 2 more on this too. There's 4 things on this to sign. Give those to Michelle. Have her.
Give you a drawer.
Does that take care of that, Michelle, then, do you think?
Yes, and I will take care of these because I'll get them filed and sent back to Kate.
Mr. DeWare here.
Okay.
One thing that, or since we're done with this, I did get an email from David Luke in regards to the property appraisals you had asked for the previous ones. I just received an email from him with the previous ones from 2011, so I can forward those to you guys if you.
Okay, you might make a copy, just so when we look, then next week we'll look through this,
You
these.
just emailed that to me, didn't you?
That's
I
the current
sent
one.
the current
Current
ones.
Oh,
ones.
that's
And
current.
These are the ones previous from
I
2000.
see.
There's nothing in here to compare them to for the previous, and I was really interested to see how much the valuations and stuff have went up.
Mhm.
And I couldn't find it anywhere in here, so I had asked Michelle this morning if she
I
could
see.
get a hold of
Okay.
that. Okay, want to come on up, or do you have something for us,
No, I
or?
just wanted to see what was going on today.
Okay. Not a whole lot.
Picking up on that.
Any old or unfinished business before the board?
Update on the telephone?
I don't have. I missed a call from AT&T's attorney. And I called him back yesterday. I left a message for him, so I don't have anything.
Any update on the wind property? Are they gonna, now that they're officially,
It's set to be sold July 14th.
so they're not gonna,
I don't know. They may. It's set to be sold on the 14th, and they have up until the day before to come into compliance and redeem. And they basically paid the redemption, so it's mostly coming up with the getting in compliance. Because I don't think they have to pay the tax twice. So.
So do they have to, what do they have to redeem though if they paid the taxes?
their LLC license,
Well,
wasn't it?
There's a list of people that are able to redeem properties, and they include people that have an ownership interest or that are in the chain of title, if you will. The corporation involved here is delinquent and forfeited their corporate status several years ago. And so individual shareholders or officers of the corporation are not eligible to redeem the property. So they can still resurrect the corporation, and if they do that, then they could redeem. But they haven't done that as of yet. So
They just need to go on the Kansas State Secretary of State and file an annual report.
well, I don't know the specifics of it, but they quite likely have taxes that need to be paid that haven't been paid. I'm not privy to their books and whatnot, but
Okay. County councilor updates on anything else?
the only other thing is I had a discussion with Kirk Thompson, who's with Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks, about the county lake. They are, well, as he explained it to me, he's extremely interested in the opportunity to present a proposal about operating the lake for us. But he said the decision on whether to do that would be made above his level. But he thought that there could be some win-win for the county and for the state. He did tell me that there is a concern with how shallow it is. He told me that they do stock the lake with channel cat, usually every other year, he thought, and that's basically the fish that will thrive in that level of water. He thought that if they were going to run it, they would want to have some sort of hunting opportunities available there. He remembered back, apparently we used to have a lottery for hunters to get the opportunity to hunt migratory waterfowl there because it's an excellent place for that, apparently. He didn't know that that would be a deal killer for them, but that's one of the things they're looking for is the hunting.
Well, I'll speak for myself. If the states want to take it over and maintain it, and they want to let hunting go out there, and they're going to police it or watch it, I have no problem with it.
When you said that they were wanting funding, was that a way of generating money or for us to provide funding for them to?
No, I think he meant for Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks to fund their operations on the property.
Okay.
That's what I understood. And we weren't in a lot of detail about what that would entail. I did tell him I didn't think we had a structure that was adequate for somebody to live there moving forward, and he kind of laughed at that and agreed. He also had concerns. He said that they would almost certainly want to have the dam inspected because they're seeing some dam failures and they want to make sure that this one wouldn't fail. And then if it did, kind of know what the impact would be on the downstream landowners. What if the dam failed, what would the fallout be from that?
No more water than that's in there right now. It wouldn't do much damage, but
Well, and I don't know whether it would flood,
houses.
houses or
I think it drops into a big creek and goes just,
Yeah,
there's no houses that I'd say would impact.
I would say of course, when you would have a failure, it would probably be breaching and, like a major rain event, which would be a lot of water backed up because, it would be way above flood stage. And then if it was going over the dam or
The only
things
thing
like
that
that.
I would see is if we agree on, is that kind of a loophole? Well, the dam needs $50,000 worth of work on it, and, I wouldn't want to commit to a lot of money. That's me personally.
well, I think they're obviously those are very preliminary discussions, very preliminary, but there is some interest on their part in considering it.
So are we to contact them again if we're interested, or are they going to work on something, or are they going to
Yeah,
shoot us a
he was-
proposal? Or
He was going to talk to some of his supervisory people and then get back to us.
okay.
And we also talked about if they had ideas on things that we ought to be doing or could be doing to make it better for farming or for fishing out there. I mean, and so I expect to hear back from him. We also discussed dredging, and he said he doesn't think there's any other way to do it than have the barges in there, the dredge, and I had told him I think we had an estimate of $500,000, and he told me he thought that was low for it.
I called Dredge America out of Kansas City because they did out there at Horton, I don't know if it's what it is. And he pulled it up on a map and he said, well, first of all, you need 40 acres to dump the dirt. And he said it would be at least 500,000. And that's when I said, well, that's probably out of the realm. We wouldn't be interested.
Yeah, he mentioned the same thing about needing a pretty good size area. And I also asked, can you just let the water out and let it dry? And he said, yeah, you can do that, but it takes about 5 years for it to get dry enough.
I don't think you would, in 30 years, it would never get dry enough to go in there with a dozer and clean that out if every ounce dropped out.
I got some experience because we got a dozer. You can go build a new pond twice as fast as you can clean out an old one. And because you get a dozer stuck, you're stuck, buddy.
You
That's my
basically
job.
have a bowl underneath there, and you would think that it would dry out, but it don't. It's silt, which is a totally different commodity than dirt. Silt holds the water. It's just totally foreign material compared to if you went next door and dug like a basement and you go to solid dirt. And a pond, you'll run into muck holes. The ponds have been dry for 30 years and they'll still run into a pocket of muck underneath there. So I could see dredging is almost a better solution than trying to ever dose it out, because they're utilizing the water and they create slush and pump it. So, yeah, and no option is cheap.
Commissioner Knoll went out and looked at the facility, and he come to thinking that probably just clean it up, level it up.
Yeah, I think there would be
Have you ever seen the facility? Yeah, that's what I've seen.
It needs to go.
It needs to go.
I put
I
the
heard
storage.
Seth talk about a storage
storage,
shed. I don't think
that's-
I wanna do that.
No, no.
I don't even, I was looking at it in those eyes too, and I don't even see how, you've got a low roof line and you try to knock a wall down and put, it wouldn't even, it would be hard to make anything that was tall enough where you could put machinery in.
Yeah, you don't
Then
want shit.
you
It
wouldn't,
gets
it wouldn't be
stolen.
secure.
Yeah,
So that would be my suggestion.
just clean it up and
We can decide that at a later date for sure. Okay, is there any need for an executive session?
None that I know.
Okay, well, anybody have anything else? Do I hear a motion to adjourn at
27.
2:27?
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Pass. We are now adjourned at 2:27.
I think with a true